But when I moved up to the Bay Area, my wife and we go to San Francisco, and there's a ferry that would go by out of Vallejo, the town over from where we're at. And I would saw this old golf course up on the hill, and all old, like kind of cypress trees and everything up there. And I go, that looks interesting. So I just drove over there one day, and I walked in the pro shop, and it was the old Mare Island military course from back. It was built, and it had a sign of built in 1892. It was this one of the old. They said it was the oldest course west of the Mississippi River, but I think there were other courses claiming that too. But anyway, it was an old course.
Yeah.
I remember looking down at the ninth green, and it was like the size of my living room. I mean, it's just like this tiny green with a pin in it and a big bunker. And I was like, looking up the hill, and guys are hitting approach shots into that, and like, wow, you gotta be some accurate iron play on this course.
Right.
I walked into the pro shop, and I just said, well, how much is it to play here? And they said, oh, well, if you wait 15 minutes, we can get you on the super twilight rate, and it's $7. I'm like, $7? It's like less than a bucket of balls down the street. So
right.
I'll come back tomorrow with a set of clubs. And I literally showed up there with my clubs, and there were cobwebs on my clubs. Like, I mean, they were just, I still had my persimmon woods, the same, my Max Fly Pro specials that I used on tour. And I literally just, when they talk about dusting it off, I mean, literally there were like spiders in my bag. And stuff.
Oh, wow.
So I just sort of like brushed everything off and went out there. And I mean, I hadn't played golf in, I don't know, maybe I would play like once with my dad, like at Christmas or something, we'd go, but it wouldn't even be with my clubs. It would just be with whatever was hanging out in the house. They lived out in Arizona. So it was the first time that I probably played in 10 years or something, So,
Wow.
And I went out, and I shot 74, and I hadn't played in like 10 years. And I was like, it wasn't any kind of perfect round, but it's like, it wasn't that bad either. There was a little wind blowing in the afternoon, and
Yeah, sure.
it kind of sparked something in me. I was like, God, this golf course was really something special. Okay, kind of like the course that you're involved with out there, a special place. And then I found myself going out there, once or twice a week, and just challenging myself. Like, can I shoot par on this course? Because I mean, it was hard. I mean, it's a short course, but I mean, the fairways were just bowling alleys. I mean, if you miss the shot at all, you can't even find your ball. Like you're just in like a sagebrush, or just it's just lost ball or unplay. You're just done. So I started to kind of, for fun. It was the first time that I played golf for fun, like just for me. Because when I was a junior golfer, I'm trying to get a scholarship, right?
Oh, yeah.
In college, I'm on a team, right? I have to be somewhere. I've got to be part of a team. Pro golf, I have sponsors. I have to perform. I have to, there was always something kind of hanging over me. But this was the first time in my life that I was actually playing golf purely for the love of the game. It was just pure for the love of the game. And I started to kind of, get that bug again, not that I wanted to go compete, but just to play, to be able to personally, like, can I shoot under par on this impossible golf course? I mean, it's really hard. You give me an example of this golf course, I don't know, 6,300 yards or something, short course. I took out many pros out there, pro friends of mine, collegiate All-Americans, that sort of thing. Nobody ever shot par on this golf course. Nope.
Wow.
I remember taking a collegiate All-American player out there that shot 7 over par, kicked his butt. They had the little mini tour events it was called the Pepsi Tour, I guess,
right? Yeah, I remember that.
They were one-day tournaments.
Yeah.
Or most of them were. I didn't play in it. So they have a Pepsi Tour event at Mare Island. I didn't play in it, but I remember going back, and I was just curious to see how they did. And they still had the score board up there from the tournament.
Yeah, sure.
Guess what wins the tournament?
75.
4 over par, 74.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine? 4 over par. These are pros.
Yeah.
Playing a 6,300 yard course, and the 4 over par wins.
Wow.
Right. So it's really like, almost like US Open kind of stuff. Like the greens were fast and they're not cut pure. So it's bumpy, a little bumpy and fast. Not a good combination, right?
Yeah, right.
Very
Yeah.
hard, slopey and narrow, and no, very few level lies anywhere on the course. Everything's side hill lies and wind coming from different directions. And yeah, it's a real ball striker's, paradise out there. So anyway, I just kind of started to play out there and really just fell in love with the game and that golf course. And yeah, so that's kind of how I got back in. So when I started playing it, then I jump on the computer and I'm like, I wonder if the golfing machine is still around. Are people talking about that anymore? Is that a thing that's even in the conversation? This is so 2008.
Okay.
Sure enough, there was a website and a forum dedicated to the golfing machine. It was called IC Golf, and the pro Paul Smith was a authorized TGM Master Pro or whatever, and he GDSM or whatever. So he was running this website, and I was reading about it, and I was like, oh, it's interesting. So I just shot him an email like, hey, I'm John Erickson. You probably don't know who I am, but I was one of the early test subjects with Bobby Clampton, a few of us were back then. And he said, wow, John, we'd love to hear your thoughts on it or whatever. And so I started posting on there, and it was just kind of fun, to talk about the swing and things that I'd learned. And then it kind of goes viral, and there were like 400,000 views
Wow.
of this thread, right?
Right.
I think it got somewhere in there. I posted my email, like if somebody had a question about something, way buried in the thread. It was like 160 pages or something of posts and stuff. And anyway, I posted a couple things that weren't flattering about the golfing machine, and Paul basically just said, you can't say anything bad. It was almost like a religion or something. You can't.
Right. Can't challenge it.
So he locked up the thread, and which it's his thread. I mean, it's his site, so he's got a right to do that. Of course, a lot of people were pretty unhappy about that, as you can imagine, right? So the next morning, I get like 35 emails in my email box from just all these people. They're like, hey, I'm really interested in your thoughts on the golf swing and the game and all this. And, would you teach us this stuff? And I was kind of like, I never set out to be a golf teacher. I was a player,
Yeah.
So I was interested in teaching. I was a player. So, but I thought, okay, I mean, if people really want to learn some stuff, sure, of course, I'd be more than happy to share these things. And it would take some of my time. So I said, all right, I'll put together some swing thoughts and just kind of create some, some of the exercises that I was training myself on from way back. And I just said, okay, we'll do these modules, and I literally put together a course over maybe 6 months or so of kind of these 9 swing modules. And people were just signing up. In the very beginning, there was $100 a module, and I just had too many students. It just got too much, and I was like having to do all these swing reviews. So I have to raise the price, so it's not. So then I put it to $200 a module, and then I had twice as many people signing because I was thinking I was just going to teach maybe 5 or 10 guys or something. I mean, just how But it got to where I had 400 or 500 students,
Wow.
from all over the world, and it got. So I was, actually the first internet golf instructor. I was the first guy to have a program that you could sign up for, that you could, when I told people that I was teaching golf online at the time, people thought I was crazy. They're like, what? When you're teaching golf online, like, it was just, it just had never been done before. So people just thought now everybody's doing it, right?
Yeah.
And, rightfully so or whatever, but it is kind of cool, I mean, I was out of the whole planet Earth, I was the first internet golf instructor that had, I'm sure there might've been some lessons and tips and stuff, but I mean, I actually had a course, you could sign up for it. We had a forum, we had interaction, we had students sending in videos. And so, yeah, and it just kind of took off, and people started improving and getting better. And that was really, good to see, because if I'm going to teach, I want people to get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So